Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. I'm back with the finale of What If Deku had a Puppeteer Quirk, and I hope y'all enjoy. And if y'all do, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a sub, make sure to leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'm not gonna waste that much more of your time. I wanted to get into the finale and exactly where we left off, so let's get into it. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya stands in front of Overhaul. He's holding him still with all the might he possibly can conjure up, holding him there so that he can't make a move. He's holding Overhaul, but the struggle is within his arms, fingers, and his entire body. This spur of the moment decision for Izuku is something that he'll come to regret, because when his fingers begin to break, Overhaul pushes forward, sending floor spikes his way. Izuku is forced to dodge, and he tries to keep up as best as he possibly can. He begins to use even cars to try and ward Overhaul off, but Overhaul is on a mission now. He wants to get Eri back. That's the only thing that matters, the only thing that he cares about now. Reinforcements will soon come, so Izuku hopes that his reinforcements come before then. He continues to fight off Overhaul using his quirk, but with no puppet and nothing else. No puppet to help, no anybody else to help. This is something that he'll have to do alone. So he decides to pull something out of his pocket. Pull something out that he didn't realize he'd be using. He avoids Overhaul enough, and he begins to wrap it around his neck. It's a white scarf of some sorts, and it begins to kind of float. Izuku smirks, and in his own mind he thanks Aizawa, at least giving him a chance to, well, keep up with this monster. Izuku begins to fight Overhaul, using the scarf to basically avoid any touch entirely, landing blow after blow and using his Puppeteer Quirk to stun Overhaul. In doing this, he's hopefully giving himself enough time to stall, allowing him to basically ward off Overhaul until Mirio gets back. And after some time would eventually pass, a punch to Overhaul right in the gut, one that Izuku couldn't even see, would then appear. A punch to the face, and then Overhaul would get thrown at a wall. Izuku would look in shock to see that it's Mirio. He's back. Mirio has officially come back, and he tells Izuku that he'll take it from here. Izuku can feel something within Mirio, as if the power is surging even further than he can possibly imagine. Mirio is exerting some sort of energy he's never seen before. Mirio begins to press Overhaul, press him to the point that Overhaul feels that his body is breaking, destroying itself from the inside out. Izuku watches as the other heroes finally arrive, but the villains that are here to help Overhaul arrive as well, breaking out into a large fight inside the entire area. Overhaul uses this as an advantage. Overhaul immediately basically reassembles one of the giant monster of men that he has, becoming this monstrous like creature, and he begins to fight Mirio. This gives Mirio a bit of struggle, but unfortunately, with Izuku still up and Izuku still alive, well, he can of course help Mirio out, stunning Overhaul here and there, allowing Mirio to land blows to his face, stomach, and eventually hit him so hard that he slams into the ground and he breaks off into everything and everyone he absorbed. Izuku sits down absolutely exhausted, but he sits there for a second really contemplating, believing that at least they won, but he did nothing. He really didn't do anything. I mean, yeah, he sort of helped, but he started this at the end of the day. They could have decided to wait on it. They could have planned something further, but he jumped the gun and more or less got this put into a scenario, this scenario specifically. And yeah, it came out to be alright, but what if it wasn't going to be alright? he wasn't gonna be strong enough to handle Overhaul on his own. Mirio had to do that. Mirio. Izuku begins to immediately feel odd, as if he feels useless to a certain extent. But Mirio would come over to him, and he can tell by the look on his face that he's not happy with the outcome for some reason. And Mirio tells him that he did just as much as everyone else here today, and that to not think otherwise. Izuku was put into a scenario where he wasn't really in the best position possible, and it's going to be like that sometimes. And it's better that he figured that out now than figure that out a far bit later. Izuku takes this to heart, and right after they basically clean up all the rest of the villains, he immediately starts training once again, overviewing exactly what Aizawa told him, taught him, and showed him all that time ago, or a couple weeks prior to this. And he begins to work. He begins to train. He begins to get ready. He gets a new puppet, of course, but Mei Hatume isn't too happy about it, especially after the fact that he keeps breaking even stronger puppets, or finds ways to break even stronger puppets that she makes. But she says that she made this one technically stronger, and try not to break it this time, because it takes a lot of money and investment from UA for it to actually, be made. Izuku hears her out and says that he'll try his best not to get it broken once again. But he continues. He continues to train, work, and he wants to basically feel better about his lack of being able to do anything in that scenario. And to an extent, this was a blessing for Izuku, a blessing for everybody. Izuku felt that he was falling behind. He wasn't, though. He was comparing himself to a future top 10 hero, the future of Hero Society. Mirio Togata not only is the future of the Hero Society, but he was the successor of All Might. He has one for all, and what that means for him in the future, that's uncertain. It could mean death, it could mean prosperity, it could mean being the number one hero. But Mirio, with a smile no matter what, would sacrifice his life and put his life on the line to save even one person. So in a way, it's a blessing that he got this power. Izuku would continue his training, and eventually it would be time for, a bit of a test for him. It would be Class 1A versus Class 1B. This is some sort of a training session, and they even add Hitoshi Shinso, who is basically someone that had a pretty skilled Quirk, but wasn't able to get into UA on Hero or as a Hero student because of, the requirements that were originally set forth. But other than that, Izuku knows that this will be a great test for him. But he knows that he needs to show everyone here that he personally is far beyond what they currently are at this moment. When the fight begins, it's as if he's in a class of his own. He knows what to do, he knows what he has to do, and he goes about it as quick as possible. And maybe he does find some more or less struggle with Monoma, especially with Monoma using his Quirk, but at the same time, his Quirk is so difficult to perfect that it's as if he didn't have a Quirk at all. His Puppeteer Quirk took years to master, and he still hasn't necessarily mastered it entirely. But let's just say, the closer he gets to mastering it, the wider the gap is between him and the rest of Class 1A. Even after watching Bakugo absolutely obliterate Class 1A, or Class 1B, he still feels that he'll be ahead of Bakugo, and that he can still be an amazing hero as long as he keeps up his training and basically continues to learn more and more about his Quirk. But there's a test coming. A test far greater than anything that they can possibly imagine. Something that is truly terrifying in the feats of everything that surrounds them. Endeavor is getting news from a top hero, the number 2 hero, other known as Hawks, learning of a war that is coming, learning that a war is quickly approaching, but it was stalled because of, well, certain events and the lack of Kurogiri and the lack of their warp portal is something that they need to compensate for. On top of that, the heroes realize something, that this might be their advantage. They have Oboro. They have someone that can turn the tide if the villains aren't careful. And well, let's just say that tide would be turned in a matter of seconds if they do something rash. Izuku is the ticket. Izuku is the reason why this war could collapse at the villain's feet. But that's a story for another day, and a story that may not be told. But if you enjoyed this series, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a sub, make sure to leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And for those wondering if I'm going to the war arc, sometimes I do, just because of certain scenarios that I see. But normally when I go throughout a 1-for-1 storyline of My Hero Academia, I don't go into the war arc until it's done with the anime, because I know some people have seen the war arc and some people haven't because they read the manga, whatever. But once this season is over for My Hero Academia, we will be going to the war arc no matter what. So that's just something I wanted to bring up. With that said, though, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope y'all continue to enjoy, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.